Discover the incredible regret of my son's wife. How one unforgiving night transformed everything. Sarah glanced at the clock, the familiar dread settling into her stomach. Another late shift loomed ahead, and as a nurse in the chaotic world of the ER, she had learned to run on caffeine and adrenaline. But tonight, her thoughts were burdened with worry for Jake. Since the day he was born, she had fought tooth and nail to teach him the values of hard work, sacrifice, and integrity. Now those lessons felt like weights dragging her down, especially after the whirlwind that was Ashley entered their lives. Sarah felt a flutter of anticipation mingled with nagging unease as she recalled the first time Jake introduced her to his radiant new wife. Their contrasting worlds collided in a way that left Sarah questioning everything. Her heart raced at the thought of Ashley's ambition, the way she'd climbed the corporate ladder, flashing brilliant smiles at expensive events. Sarah was proud of Jake, yet wondered if ambition had swallowed the simple ideals she'd cherished. They had always been a close-knit family, but Ashley's rise to the glamorous corporate world felt like a rift slicing through their relationship. She could already see it on Jake's face, the admiration, the thrill of dating someone so dynamic, yet there was a creeping fear clawing at Sarah. Could they maintain their family bond amidst the glittering facade of success? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the weeks passed, Ashley dazzled everyone while Sarah quietly bore the burden of doubt. Competing voices inside her head grew louder. Was it possible that ambition overshadowed family? Then the unthinkable happened. A moment of blinding recklessness on Ashley's part shattered the fragile peace. Jake found himself wrongfully accused, dragged into a nightmare that felt so out of character for the son she raised. Panic surged within Sarah, but she wrestled to guide her emotions past despair. In the silence of their living room, she confronted the agony of merging her nurturing instincts with an overwhelming desire to protect her son. Confronting Ashley, Sarah felt an odd sense of clarity amidst the chaos. It wasn't just loyalty to Jake that compelled her to stay. It was an innate drive to help Ashley understand the weight of her choices, a heavy burden of remorse that now threatened to collapse their family. Under numb skin, Sarah felt scattered thoughts collide. Late-night whispered talks were now laced with tension and regret. They were examining a reality that seemed to slip through their fingers like grains of sand. Jake's impending trial weighed heavily on Sarah's shoulders, and inner turmoil escalated. Would Ashley let her ambition suffocate their chance to rebuild trust? Could she let her son navigate this treacherous terrain without fully understanding the stakes? As Sarah looked into Ashley's eyes, solid and shimmering with suppressed fears, a question loomed. Could Ashley redefine what family meant to her? In that moment, the thick air was fraught with anticipation, a ticking clock counting down toward an uncertain future. In their desperate quest for resolution, the divided road stretched endless before them. The journey to forgiveness had just begun, and whether they would emerge intact was still entwined in shadows of regret, leaving them on the precipice of discovery. Sarah punched in her code, the electronic beep grounding her in the present. The ER buzzed with activity as patients were wheeled in, each one a reminder of the preciousness of life. It was a chaotic haven where emotions ran high, yet tonight Sarah felt detached, her mind swirling with thoughts of Jake and Ashley. She moved through her routine like a ghost, attending to patients while battling the storm in her heart. The familiar faces of her colleagues were a source of comfort, but even their laughter felt distant. Sarah's thoughts drifted to the trial looming over Jake, its weight pressing down on her like an anchor. Each day felt like a step deeper into a quagmire of uncertainty, and she had to fight the waves of self-doubt crashing against her resolve. Was her son truly innocent? Could Ashley's ambition possibly be at the core of this mess? With every passing shift, the clock ticked closer to the day of reckoning, and the urgency in Sarah's heart grew. She could no longer remain a passive observer. The urgency for a direct confrontation with Ashley bubbled beneath the surface. Questions rattled around in her mind, each one sharper than the last. Could Ashley's ambition compromise her family values? Did she even care about the consequences anymore? That night, after another grueling shift, Sarah found herself staring at the blank walls of her home, the silence deafening. She had been contemplating a plan, one that revolved around confronting Ashley not just as a mother-in-law but as a fellow woman navigating the tumultuous waters of modern ambition. This wasn't just about Jake. It was about the very fabric of their family, and she refused to see it torn apart without a fight. Picking up her phone, Sarah hesitated before dialing Ashley's number. The seconds ticked by and her pulse raced. Was she ready for this? She exhaled deeply, straightened her spine and dialed. The phone rang like a ticking bomb, each tone resonating with her uncertainty. When Ashley finally answered, her voice was bright, oblivious to Sarah's turmoil. It took Sarah a moment to gather her thoughts. "Ashley, can we talk? It's important." The silence that followed felt heavy, but ultimately Ashley agreed, suggesting they meet at a nearby cafe, a neutral ground. As Sarah hung up, a rush of emotions flooded her: fear, doubt, but also a glimmer of hope. Perhaps this was the moment they could recalibrate their lives, shifting from confrontation to collaboration, from ambition to understanding. Arriving at the cafe, Sarah noticed Ashley already seated, intently scrolling through her phone. As Sarah approached, she couldn't shake off the nagging thought this wasn't just about addressing past mistakes, but about confronting the future of their family. Pushing aside her reservations, Sarah took a seat across from Ashley. They exchanged pleasantries, but the tension between them felt electric, charged with the weight of unspoken words. Sarah's heart pounded as she prepared to peel back the layers hiding Ashley's true feelings. Ambition had a way of distorting emotions, and the consequences of chasing dreams often turned into nightmarish realities. "Ashley," she began, choosing her words with precision, "I think we need to talk about what's happening with Jake and how it's affecting all of us." As she spoke, she could see Ashley's facade flickering, the glimmer of her ambition dimming momentarily. In that split second, something shifted. Could this be the turning point? The moment where ambition collided with the kind of love that could redefine their family? The true depths of Ashley's choices hovered in the air between them, and Sarah felt the urgency of the moment. This was their chance to unravel the tapestry of regret before it ensnared them further. The conversation hung on the edge of transformation, both women poised to redefine everything they believed about family ties and ambition. But as deep-rooted emotions simmered beneath the surface, one question loomed larger than the rest. Could love and ambition coexist without devouring one another? With the flickering shadows of doubt lingering above them, they embarked on a conversation that would challenge everything they once believed. Would they find harmony, or was this merely the calm before an even greater storm? The cafe buzzed with a cacophony of voices and clinking cups, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee enveloping Sarah like a warm embrace. Yet amidst the warmth of the space, her thoughts were icy and electric. This is more than just about Jake, she reminded herself, striving to channel her anxiety into determination. She had to navigate this conversation with precision, striking a balance between confronting Ashley's ambition and nurturing their family bond. Sarah studied Ashley, whose lips curled in a slight smile but whose eyes betrayed a flicker of unease. The contrast between the bright, bustling cafe and the heavy air between them felt surreal, almost like a play where the actors wore masks. Sarah felt an ache in her chest. The vibrant woman in front of her had once been a beacon of success in Sarah's eyes, but now ambition cast a long shadow, and that fire seemed to consume more than it illuminated. "Is everything okay, Sarah?" Ashley asked, tilting her head slightly as if searching for something beneath Sarah's casual demeanor. "Honestly, no," Sarah replied, surprised at her own candor. The words were unsettlingly bold, yet they broke through her hesitations. "We're all focused on Jake's trial, but I can't shake the feeling that things are unraveling. Not just for him." Ashley shifted in her seat, the tension in her body betraying the calmness of her voice. "I know it's difficult, but we will get through this," she said, her tone almost rehearsed, as if she'd conditioned herself against emotional confrontation. "Getting through it isn't just enough for me anymore. I need to understand your role in this, where your ambition lies in all of this chaos." Sarah pushed back gently, gauging Ashley's reactions. Each word felt like stepping into uncharted territory, but her resolve began to solidify. Ashley's responses hovered like a delicate dance, neither fully engaging nor seeking to disarm the tension. "You act as if I've orchestrated this entire tragedy," she said, frustration creeping into her tone. My ambitions were meant to support our family, but at what cost? Sarah interjected, her heart racing. What about Jake? What about the values we believed we shared? For the first time, Sarah saw a crack in Ashley's armor. The bright facade wavered, revealing a flicker of confusion and uncertainty. You think this is easy for me? That I don't care. Ashley shot back defensively. I think it's easy to get lost in the pursuit of success. You've gone after what you desired, but at the expense of our family's happiness, Sarah pressed. Each statement felt like a weight being lifted, yet it also deepened the precipice of confrontation. Watching Ashley's frustration morph into guilt was intoxicating. For all her ambition, it appeared to crumble under the weight of scrutiny and insight Sarah had not anticipated. You have talent, Ashley, and I've always respected that. But I need you to realize that complexities of ambition don't just entangle you. They ensnare everyone around you. The silence that followed felt monumental. They both stared into their respective cups, grappling with the reality of their shared history. Sarah's mind surged with thoughts. This wasn't just a personal reckoning for Ashley, but one for herself as well. Was she prepared to navigate a shift in their family dynamic, embracing deeper honesty, while risking losing the future she envisioned? The cafe faded into a blur as Sarah focused on the importance of this conversation. She needed to draw out the vulnerability beneath Ashley's bravado. Ashley, let us consider how to redirect this ambition, she suggested carefully, her tone shifting from confrontation to collaboration. What if we found a way to channel it together? Hovering near hope, the conversation had shifted, yet there remained an unsettling sense of unresolved tension. Their futures intertwined, but would they be able to untangle the threads that divided them? As the moment lingered, Sarah wrestled with the realization that this was the start, not the conclusion. Her personal journey demanded bravery, and she had to unearth the courage to steer through uncharted territory, confronting both Ashley's ambitions and her own doubts head-on. But would they forge a path towards reconciliation? Or would the ambivalence of ambition lead to deeper ramifications? As Sarah sat across from Ashley, she felt a new question boiling within. Would it take a greater crisis to truly unveil their vulnerabilities and potentially rebuild the fabric of their family? The cafe buzz had waned into an uneasy whisper, and Sarah felt the weight of the silence press against her. The air thickened as her words hung in the balance, tethering both women to this moment of shared accountability. It was a delicate precipice, and as Sarah engaged in a mental inventory of the stakes involved, she resolved not only to salvage the relationship with Ashley, but also to reclaim her own sense of purpose. Ashley, I understand your drive for success. It comes from a place of love for our family. I know that, she said, her voice softer, yet steely with determination. But we need to redefine what that success looks like, especially now with everything going on with Jake. Ashley's brow furrowed, a handful of emotions colliding in her expression. You make it sound so easy, Sarah, she shot back, an undercurrent of frustration palpable beneath her calm facade. Yet Sarah recognized a flicker of something deeper: vulnerability. What if we envision success as not just achieving personal goals but as nurturing those around us? Sarah continued, more passionately now, sensing the precariousness of the conversation. Let's cultivate an environment where ambition and family coexist without one overshadowing the other. Ashley shifted, rubbing the back of her neck as if physically attempting to relieve the tension that had built up. Maybe I need to rethink what I've been prioritizing, she murmured, and in that moment, Sarah seized the opportunity to steer the dialogue. Better yet, what if we rethink it together? We can blend our visions, rather than letting this division between us fester and grow, Sarah proposed, her heart racing not just from the weight of the moment but with renewed hope that they could find alignment. After a pause, Ashley tilted her head, contemplating. What exactly do you mean? Are you suggesting we collaborate on my next project? It could help keep the spotlight from Jake while he is dealing with his legal issues. The valid suggestion sent ripples of cautious optimism through Sarah. Exactly. Let us harness your vision and craft something meaningful that embodies our values. It could bolster both our ambitions while creating a buffer for Jake's situation. The tension began to recede, and Sarah allowed herself a moment of reflection. This was her pathway forward, not merely confronting Ashley, but fostering a collaborative spirit that would unite them against external pressures. This collaboration could reshape their family dynamics, providing the cathartic release they both craved. But implicit in this new vision was a genuine fear of failure. What if this initiative did not pan out? It could add weight to the ongoing chaos. Would their partnership devolve into competition once again, with Jake's circumstances merely fueling that fire? As the clinking of cups returned to the foreground, a new sense of agency blossomed within Sarah. She had endured much through the noise of uncertainty, but she was ready to execute this plan to transform her trepidation into action. This felt like reclaiming a piece of her identity, not just as a mother, but as an accomplished individual. What if we set clear goals? Ashley suggested. Maybe we could present a proposal to the family, showing them how we can all support each other, especially through Jake's trial. Sarah's heart surged. The conversation was evolving into something far more constructive than she had anticipated. I love that idea. Let us outline what it would entail and how we can manifest a united front. Yet, as they mapped out the potential framework, a sliver of doubt mirrored the enthusiasm within Sarah. Ashley's ambition had never been the sole issue. It was the vulnerability that came with it, and whether that vulnerability could sustain the collaboration they needed. Just as they settled into this new rhythm, Sarah sensed a ripple of anxiety return to her heart. What would Jake think of their proposed collaboration? Would he be supportive, or would he perceive it as yet another attempt to manage his life under the weight of their ambitions? That question lingered, fueling an internal conflict as Sarah stared deeply into her coffee, contemplating not just the immediate future, but how her decisions might ripple outwards. As they both made tentative plans for the proposal, one thought loomed larger than her anxieties. The resolve to confront deeper issues was now paramount. The time had come to face not only the ambitions that had divided their family, but also the fear of confronting Jake's own complexities. The idea of confronting Jake weighed heavily on Sarah's mind as she exited the cafe. Each step felt like a march into unknown territory. She glanced at her phone, the screen illuminating messages from both Ashley and Jake, temporary distractions from the onslaught of swirling thoughts. Her heart raced, a mix of anticipation and dread enveloping her. Re-establishing her relationship with Ashley was an enlightening breakthrough. Yet the true test loomed ahead. Jake's turmoil was not just a familial problem, it had now become a crucible for her own growth. Could she transform this hardship into an opportunity for her family? Or would it expose deeper fractures that had yet to be addressed? As she walked home, the rhythm of her footsteps matched the cacophony in her mind. Rapid-fire thoughts collided. What if she approached Jake with vulnerability and openness? Would it invite the same from him? Or would it instead expose vulnerability she was ill-prepared to handle? Arriving at her doorstep, Sarah inhaled deeply, summoning strength to approach the uncomfortable conversation. The familiar scent of home freshly brewed coffee mixed with notes of lavender offered a semblance of comfort. Yet, as she stared down the hallway leading to Jake's room, uncertainty surged anew. Gathering resolve, Sarah knocked gently on his door. Jake? No response. It was out of character for him to ignore her. Pushing the door open slightly, she found him hunched over his desk, papers strewn about like the remnants of some chaotic eruption. A pang of sympathy tightened in her chest, but a voice within urged her to proceed. This was no longer about being his mother alone. It was about being an ally in the storm. Can we talk? She ventured, her tone steadier than the tempest inside her. At last he looked up, eyes shadowed with fatigue. He nodded and Sarah stepped in, closing the door behind her. The room felt heavy, charged with unspoken tensions and bottled emotions. I don't want to add to the weight you're carrying, but Ashley and I are planning something. We want to create a supportive space for all of us, especially for you during this trial, she began. Jake leaned back in his chair, skepticism etching his brow. What do you mean support? It feels like everyone's on their own path. There's no real collaboration here, especially with Ashley's focus on career. I don't want to be a pawn in anyone's chess game. Each word struck sharply, causing her heart to sink. Was he labeling her attempts misguided? Or was it just his way of building a wall between them? This isn't about using you, Jake, she interjected firmly, yet softening her gaze as she continued. This is about understanding what you need and how we can facilitate that. All I want is to help create a balance and opportunity for all of us, not just Ashley and me. His eyes softened momentarily before the mask returned. I appreciate that, but my life is unraveling. It's hard to process your feelings, much less worry about Ashley's ambitions, he replied, exhaling sharply, frustration simmering below the surface. Observing the turmoil within him, Sarah felt a surge of determination. Coiling within her was a sense of urgency. They could not be at odds. His struggles intersected with their ambitions. How can we reframe it, Jake? What if we work together not just to protect you but to redefine what support looks like for our whole family? His defensiveness faltered slightly, and the glimmer of vulnerability floated to the surface, yet uncertainty still clouded his eyes. We could start by openly discussing our expectations between you, Ashley, and me, she proposed, her voice steady. We would align our visions instead of letting our individual pressures pull us apart. As the words left her lips, Sarah realized this moment was transformative. It tangibly reshaped her role from a passive observer to an active participant in both Jake's life and the family dynamic. She recognized that doing so required confronting her own fears, particularly the fear of failing to uphold the bonds that mattered most. Jake leaned forward, his expression wavering between doubt and curiosity. What if it doesn't work? What if we just end up hurting each other more? The question hung heavily in the air, compounding Sarah's resolve to navigate this fragile space. We won't know unless we try. If we keep avoiding the challenges, we'll only deepen the rift. With that, a tentative silence enveloped them. Yet Sarah recognized a pivotal juncture. There lay potential for connection, but it demanded transparency. As the clock ticked softly in the background, she anticipated the next words that would bridge their understanding. What came next would not merely serve as a step forward. It could redefine their familial legacy. Let us patch this up, Jake. Together, she whispered, heart pounding as she awaited his response, knowing that truth would unravel long-guarded emotions, and what that would reveal remained uncharted territory. The air hung thick with potential, a fragile thread connecting their unresolved issues to the possibility of healing. Sarah's heart raced as she studied Jake's face, searching for the answer lurking behind the storm of his emotions. She braced for a myriad of outcomes: acceptance, rejection, a dismissal of her delicate invitation. Jake clasped his hands tightly, wringing them as if seeking clarity from the friction. Maybe, he finally conceded after a drawn-out pause, but what does it even mean to work together? I felt invisible long enough. The admission clawed its way through the air, and Sarah felt the sharp pang of guilt had she unknowingly contributed to his feelings of neglect. The weight of her son's words illuminated a truth she hadn't fully acknowledged. She had been so busy reconstructing her connection with Ashley that Jake's emotional needs had receded into the background. There was an undeniable irony. In striving for familial unity, she risked disregarding the very fabric that tied them together. What if we made space for each other as voices? She proposed, stepping deeper into the conversation. What if you shared what you want to feel supported, and I'll share what I need to? No judgments, just honesty. Jake's gaze shifted toward the window, contemplating the world outside as if answers lay there. Feels weird laying out expectations like that, he replied softly. It's like we'd be setting ourselves up for disappointment. That's true, she acknowledged, but we could also discover mutual understanding. What we're doing now, staying silent, doesn't help anyone. Don't you want to break this cycle? His uncertainty flickered like a candle behind glass, vulnerable, yet flickering in the face of a potential draft. I guess I'd like to know that someone sees me, really sees me. Each word bore a new weight, and Sarah found herself grounded in this pivotal moment, realizing that his desire for visibility mirrored her own professional struggles. As a marketing executive, she had often wrestled with the feeling of being overshadowed, sidelined amidst the demands of a job that seemed to prioritize participation over individuality. She understood now that Jake likely felt like a background character in a play that was meant for three. Seeing you truly means valuing your voice, she said, the determination in her voice gaining momentum. The thing is, I want to go beyond just surviving as a family. I want us to thrive together, she continued. What does thriving look like? Jake questioned, curiosity hinting at a shift within him. It was a question that echoed with an unsettling resonance. What did thriving look like for her, for him, for Ashley? She realized she had overlooked her own aspirations amidst the crossfires. Maybe this conversation was just as pivotal for her personal development. It means having transparent communication, being honest about our fears and expectations, and working towards synergy. His eyes narrowed, skepticism creeping back in. And if we bring Ashley into it? What if we can't find common ground? Then we take it step by step, Sarah responded, searching for certainty in their uncertain landscape. But we have to start somewhere. I'm willing to figure it out with you, for all of us. Silence settled over them again. Only this time it felt laced with the potential for resolution rather than impending doubt. Jake offered a begrudging nod, the armor around his heart temporarily lifting. I can try, he said, the words sounding both tentative and hopeful. Feeling emboldened, Sarah took a proactive step. Let us begin by mapping out a time for the three of us to sit down. Maybe we write down what we want. No interruptions, just a chance to express ourselves freely. Jake considered her proposition, the furrow in his brow smoothing slightly. All right, but if we do this, I'm not holding back, he warned. No sugarcoating. A flicker of excitement pierced through the remnants of tension. I wouldn't want it any other way. As they shared a brief moment of connection, Sarah reaffirmed her resolve. This was not merely about healing divisions, but fostering a culture of honest expression within their family. She felt a twinge of empowerment flicker within her, a keen awareness that often vulnerability could lead to strength. Yet as they began to unspool this intricate web of communication, a troubling thought surfaced in her mind. Would Ashley reciprocate the openness they were cultivating? Could they weather the storm together? Or would this newfound clarity reveal disturbing truths that were better left hidden? Only time would tell. The following evening, Sarah sat in her home office, the glow of the computer screen illuminating the cluttered desk littered with marketing reports and family photos. The stale scent of old coffee mingled with the crispness of the papers surrounding her. She had planned the family meeting in her mind countless times, each scenario more anxious than the last. Her pulse quickened as she reflected on the potential breakthroughs, the echoes of vulnerability and honesty that could reshape their family dynamics. But apprehension tangled with her excitement. The anticipation of meeting with Jake and Ashley was intoxicating, yet a gnawing fear took root deep inside her. What if Ashley clung to resentment? Would her daughter even entertain the idea of expressing her feelings openly with them? It occurred to her then that Ashley may not be ready for reconciliation, and it struck her as a personal failure if this moment fell flat. This realization weighed heavily on her. Just as she had felt sidelined in her professional life, could she inadvertently be pushing Ashley into the background? The creeping thought unsettled her. Was she employing the same tactics she had fought against at work, encouraging unity while sidelining individual voices? Sarah took a deep breath, attempting to center herself. She needed to approach this from a new perspective, the way she facilitated brand collaborations at work, fostering relationships rather than forcing them. What if she let go of the control she sought to exert over the situation? Allowing vulnerability might just break the chains of expectation and disappointment. Just as she found clarity in that thought, her phone vibrated, drawing her attention away from her internal monologue. A message from Jake popped up on her screen. Can we talk about tomorrow? I'm still not sure how Ashley will react. Jake's uncertainty mirrored her own, an echo dancing in the chamber of her mind. She quickly typed back, we can do this. No matter how tough it feels, let's be open. All of us need this. Unlike before, her fingers felt steady as she sent the text. The words felt like an acknowledgement of the collective stakes they were all navigating. Sarah returned her focus to the family meeting. It needed a structure she developed in her marketing career, a framework to ensure they understood each other's expectations and definitions of success. She grabbed a notepad and started jotting down the core themes she wanted them to explore: honesty, vulnerability, and shared responsibility, finally ending with a question. What does love look like in action? As she scribbled away, another troubling thought crossed her mind. Had she set herself up as a leader in this scenario? Or in an attempt to foster equality, had she unintentionally placed herself as the primary voice? Would Jake and Ashley feel pressured to discuss their struggles in a framework predominantly defined by her? She stopped writing, questioning the effectiveness of her well-intentioned approach. Just then, the memory of her defining moment at work resurfaced. It was a presentation that had gone wrong. She had forced her vision onto others too aggressively and left them feeling unheard. Would you rather lead or collaborate? Echoed from that experience. In trying to unify her family, was she making the same mistake? Grounding herself, she decided this time it would be different. It wouldn't be about maintaining authority. It needed to be a shared space. How can I ensure that their voices matter? She whispered to herself, urging her mind to plot a course that allowed her family to navigate this delicate process together. As she drifted off to sleep that night, the uncertainties formed an almost suffocating blanket over her. The reality loomed: this meeting could either bring them closer together or expose deeper fractures. What if Ashley did not share her vision of loving, transparent communication? Could they survive discovering a truth that might shatter the already tenuous threads connecting them? The weight of these questions settled as she surrendered to sleep, a tumult of emotions swirling through her, anxiety intertwining with determination. Tomorrow would be the true test of their collective courage, and she lay awake wondering what revelations awaited them in the sunlit hours ahead. Would they find the courage to redefine their family story together? Or would old wounds fester anew? As the sun streamed through the window, illuminating the small office, Sarah awoke with a start. The soft sounds of her family stirring in the house filled her with both hope and dread. This was the day, a pivotal moment that could alter the course of their family dynamics. She stretched her arms, trying to ward off the tension that had settled in her chest overnight. Today was not merely about words. It was about connection, a complex and sensitive task that felt daunting yet necessary. After a quick breakfast, Sarah found herself pacing the living room, the faint aroma of the morning coffee fueling her inner turmoil. How could she guide this conversation without overshadowing Jake and Ashley's perspectives? She felt a wave of self-doubt crash over her. Her well-planned approach, based on collaboration, now seemed fragile and uncertain. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Jake and Ashley arrived together, their body language revealing their own apprehensions. Jake wore a furrowed brow, while Ashley's arms were crossed tightly, as though shielding herself from the vulnerability of the conversation ahead. Instantly, Sarah's heart ached for the distance that had grown between them, yet she knew they had to bridge that gap. "Hey, come in," Sarah called, forcing a warm smile, her voice steady despite her racing thoughts. They shuffled inside, the atmosphere thick with unspoken tensions. "Hey, Mom," Jake replied, taking a seat on the sofa. Ashley hesitated before joining him, her demeanor cautious. Sarah took a deep breath and began, "I appreciate you both being here. Today is about sharing what's been weighing on us. That includes me," she added, looking directly at Ashley. Ashley shifted uncomfortably, the vulnerability in her eyes unmistakable. "Do we have to? Do we really have to talk about everything?" Her voice trembled, underscoring her internal conflict. "Yes," Jake responded quietly, his eyes darting nervously between Sarah and Ashley. The barely concealed tension hung in the air like a fragile thread poised to snap. "Let us break it down," Sarah encouraged with a calm resolve that surprised herself. "What is something we've not talked about that you feel is important?" An unexpected stillness enveloped the room. Sarah's stomach knotted, but she held her breath, willing Ashley to open up. She had anchored her hopes on a moment of honesty. If she were to demonstrate vulnerability, she needed to create space for others to do the same. Ashley sighed deeply, her shoulders slumping slightly. Maybe I've been hurt, Mom. When you took that new job, it felt like everything changed. I felt abandoned." The words tumbled out in a bittersweet mix of anger and sadness that a shiver ran down Sarah's spine. She had never truly understood the weight that her career ambitions bore on her family. Her eyes darkened as she absorbed Ashley's pain, feeling an unfamiliar stab of guilt. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. I thought I was making things better for us," she replied, her voice barely a whisper. "No, you don't get it. It wasn't just about the job. It was how you seemed so focused on everything else. It was like our family didn't matter as much anymore." The hurt in Ashley's voice cut through Sarah like a knife. The room stood still as Jake interjected. "We felt like we were on the sidelines, watching you succeed somewhere else without us." His vulnerability ignited an unexpected fire within Sarah, and that moment, it struck her. She needed to acknowledge her own feelings, her own fear of failure. "I've been scared too," she confessed, "scared that I might be losing you. I thought if I excelled, it would elevate our family. I didn't see how isolating it could be." Their gazes locked, the tension unraveling piece by piece. The room buzzed with a new energy, one that had long been dormant. "I think we all feel lost sometimes," Jake murmured, his initial reservations melting away. Maybe we need to reshape how we see success together. As the conversation shifted to shared vulnerabilities, Sarah wondered if this was the start of something new, a path toward healing. Yet beneath the surface of her relief lay an unsettling fact. Vulnerability was the most daunting path of all. They had taken the first step, but an air of uncertainty still clung to the space between them. As they delved deeper into their talks, Sarah caught a glimpse of the potential for a renewed bond, even as the specter of unresolved feelings threatened to rise yet again. Just as clarity began to emerge, the quiet atmosphere shifted once more. An unanticipated ring from her phone shattered the moment, breaking their fragile wave of connection. Hesitating, Sarah glanced at the screen. The caller ID read work. An unsettling sense of dread washed over her. What could this mean for the fragile reconnection they were beginning to forge? Would answering it put everything at risk again? A choice lay before her. Stepping back into her professional world might derail what they were building. As she stared at the screen, anticipation gripped her heart. Would she push the familiar aside to prioritize her family once and for all? Sarah stared at her phone, the vibrations echoing in the silence of the living room. Her mind raced. Would answering this call mean stepping onto a path that led her back to the very turmoil she was attempting to mend with her family? The tension was palpable, and she felt an urge to silence the commotion that was creeping up from within. Did she choose her career over her family? The answer lay heavy in her heart. The last thing she wanted was to build walls when she had just begun to dismantle them. "Mom," Jake's voice cut through her thoughts, a gentle reminder of the present moment. "Is everything okay?" Sarah forced herself to focus, returning her gaze to her children. "Yes, sweetie," she replied, though her voice wavered. "Just a work call." "Maybe you should take it," Ashley suggested, her demeanor softer now, hinting at an unexpected understanding. Sarah frowned at the idea. Part of her craved the feeling of accomplishment she associated with her job, but another part, a deeper part, understood that this was a moment in which her family needed her undivided attention. "I'll call them back," she decided, swiping the phone to silence it. Anxiety flickered in her gut as she pressed it face down on the table. "Let us stay here in this moment." Giance's exchanged hints of uncertainty, yet beneath it, Sarah detected mutual desire for connection. The willingness to sit with their discomfort was itself a testament to her children's growth, showcasing their desire for deeper communication. "Talk to me," she instructed, breaking the silence that loomed over them like a dark cloud. "What else is going on? I want to understand." Ashley shifted in her seat, hesitating. "It's just I don't know. I always feel like I have to prove myself, you know? Like I'm always focused on what's happening outside," Sarah interjected, this time with clarity instead of defensiveness. "I get it. I've been caught up in my own view of success, and I never realized how that made you feel." "Yeah, and I can't just magically become perfect," Ashley continued, her vulnerability revealing the storm brewing beneath. "I feel like I have to navigate through everything alone, unsure of where I fit in." Momentary recognition flickered in Sarah's chest. Her daughter was unfolding layers of unexpressed emotions. This was not just about a job offer or a change in expectations. It was a broader struggle navigating identity in the shadows of perceived achievement. "What if we identified a way to support each other better?" Jake suggested, brightening the atmosphere with a surprising idea. "What if I pursue what I love, and you both supported me instead of worrying about how it might take time away from family? And vice versa." "Yes," said Sarah, her composure tinged with excitement. "Let us create an environment where we can explore our options without feeling guilty for pursuing goals. Not a competition, but a partnership." Ashley perked up. "Could we set aside time each week for family check-ins or something? Just to make sure we're all on the same page?" "I love that." Jake nodded. Accountability not just to ourselves but to each other. The energy in the room evolved once more, hope igniting their spirits as they crafted this new proposal. Yet, with each idea woven into their discussions, a subtle anxiety lingered at the back of Sarah's mind. She had feared conflict, but the vulnerability had led her to uncover equal measures of fear and desire among each other. This new approach challenged the very nature of how they had previously defined success. The buzzing in her pocket was becoming unbearable. It was clear that work would not let her escape so easily. With their conversation illuminating paths to repair their lives, she couldn't shake the feeling that this call was somehow integral to understanding herself moving forward. Taking a deep breath, Sarah clocked the urgency of the moment. In so many ways she teetered on the edge of two worlds. The past she was reluctant to abandon, and the dynamic family she yearned to nurture. Could she balance both? As the phone vibrated one last time, casting shadows over their discussion, Sarah felt the stakes rising. There were choices yet to be revealed, decisions trembling just beyond reach, with the weight of each affecting not only herself but also her children in profound ways. Guys, Sarah said slowly, I think I need to make a bigger decision regarding my career. Maybe it's time to find out just how much I'm willing to sacrifice for the sake of our relationship. And with that realization came a new question, raw and charged. Would the cost of that decision lead to newfound freedom or a haunting regret? The sunlight streamed through the window as Sarah gathered her thoughts. With clarity, she realized what she needed to do for herself and her family. This was the moment of reckoning, a rare opportunity to weave the complicated fabric of their relationships tighter. Sarah found the courage to break from the conventional path she had fabricated, a path often rife with silent sacrifices but void of tangible connections. She took a deep breath and glanced at Jake and Ashley. Their expressions swirled between apprehension and the hint of hope. I want you both to know that I'm reevaluating my priorities, she declared with newfound conviction. My job will always be important, but not at the cost of my relationship with you. Something needs to change. Ashley's eyes widened, surprise flashing across her features. You mean you'd consider taking a step back? The question hung in the air, filled with unspoken layers of fear and possibility. Yes, Sarah answered, her voice steady. I need to create a space where we can thrive as a family and hold space for our individual ambitions, too. What good is a career if it comes at the expense of my family? Jake's face softened, and for the first time, he seemed to process his mother's achievements beyond mere accolades. It's not an easy decision, Mom. You've worked hard to get where you are. She was relieved by his understanding. I want to prove that hard work can coexist with family bonds. We can create a new definition of success, one that includes all of us. A silence enveloped them, but this time it felt collaborative, as if they were about to initiate a collective journey toward a shared vision. Let us make family a priority. No individual road should overshadow our paths, Jake nodded, his demeanor showing the willingness to rise together. Emboldened, Ashley jumped in. And to do that, we need to be honest about our struggles and expectations. If I need to pull back sometimes, I'll say so. And if I feel pressured, I'll speak up. The lines of connection began to weave a pattern of empathy. Each voice reaffirmed the next, a tapestry of shared desire for unity woven through sincerity. Their conversation blossomed, revealing deeper insecurities, aspirations, and the understanding that ambition need not divide their family. Around them sat the artifacts of their struggles, cluttered papers signifying Jake's dreams, remnants of Sarah's relentless ambition, and Ashley's evolving identity. Each member recognized that their stories were interconnected, each thread fragile yet strong, and now newly reinforced by mutual understanding. As they pored over plans for family check-ins and support sessions, they saw their individual goals lighting up the path toward reconciliation. Jake proposed dedicated family brainstorming sessions, where they could align their ambitions, leading to greater accountability without stepping on each other's dreams. And what if we created a bucket list of experiences to share as a family? Sarah added, her eyes brightening with the thrill of possibility. We could prioritize family outings and make memories that solidify us as a collective unit. Ashley smiled, and for the first time in several conversations, the tension seemed to dissolve. I love that. It's time we find joy amidst the chaos. Their eyes met, and in that shared glance was the dawning realization that their relationships were a choice, one they were now collectively choosing to nurture. Together, they had transformed from individuals teetering on disparate paths to a unified front committed to recalibrating what family meant amidst the merciless tide of ambition. As they hashed out ideas and solidified plans, Sarah felt a profound sense of accomplishment wash over her. They were entering uncharted territory, but with an exhilarating promise of growth fueled by honesty and vulnerability. She had taken the initiative, evolving from simply a mother to a partner in Jake and Ashley's lives as they collaborated to confront their shared challenges. The process would be ongoing, but Sarah felt optimistic. The conversations clarified not only their intertwined ambitions but solidified her individual growth, a profound shift from merely surviving to thriving. not just as a mother but as a fulfilled, proud woman carving her own legacy. In this moment, she realized what she had accomplished: the capacity to redefine her life and the lives of her children. She stood poised to navigate this new landscape, empowered to embrace her identity, while sustaining the familial bonds she set out to save. The promise of a cohesive family story, illuminated through shared values and mutual respect, shimmered before her like sunlight breaking through a cloudy sky. To the audience, you need to subscribe now to keep following these incredible transformations and emotional journeys. This is the moment to show your support by hitting that like button. Your engagement is crucial. Take a second to comment below with your thoughts and reactions to this powerful conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to learn how to navigate complex family dynamics with courage. Your support makes all the difference.